Hello. Oh, what a gorgeous little face.
Hello.
And a nicer face.
I think I need to adjust my iPad. Hang on. How you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hot. You
Yeah,
hot?
yeah, I am hot. And unfortunately, I have to close the door in here because there's too much neighbor noise and it makes me self-conscious when I talk. So I make it a little hot box
No.
unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's hot in here as well. But it's like, by the way, so Jake was supposed to be here today, but he's been called away on a recording session, which means that I am with the child, and so there's not much I can do. He's jumping around in the background. I've told him to be quiet. If he hears,
That's life. That's totally fine.
it's how
Yeah.
it is.
That is
So,
how it is. That's how it is for a lot of people. So yeah, who's going to stress about that? Um, thank you for joining me for my second ever curious conversation. Did you know that your interview, the curious interview, which those of you watching this now, you can click the link in my bio to read, that was in 2016.
I know. Well,
I can't
would you
believe that much
believe?
time. Say again?
Would you believe that it's 20 years since we left school, Alice?
And Anna, I see Anna is in here, who also was at school with us.
Hello, Anna.
20 years since we left school. Oh my God. And what have we learnt?
That nothing. So, no, I do feel like I've done most of my learning since around 2008. Specifically because that was the year of the economic crash, and I know that I was veering towards a career in art anyway. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know. I had no plan. I've never had a plan. But even if I had stayed in the job that I was at that time, I was working at the British Council in London, and even if I had stayed there full time and not gone into the art thing, the recession would have meant that actually all of my department, I think, were going to be out of jobs anyway. So I don't. I think I had to learn really fast on the hoof. I don't know about you, because maybe you're similar. Because I think you started to do your knitting around the same time, I think.
Yeah, it was a bit earlier than that. But I mean, for me, I guess my real education, it felt like, was kind of once I started acting, because I always responded to more of a social education than an academic education.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I kind of found my tribe as an actor, and obviously doing new plays and TV shows, you're having conversations about history and context and um, yeah, so for me, I think that was kind of my real education, just sort of out on the job, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I look back to, our school days, like what I retain from that is much more about a social experience, I think, than academic information, which I'm confronted with every week. We do a pub quiz here with my dad on WhatsApp, and yeah, I really don't know very much stuff.
Ah,
There are things where I'm like, I know that I learned that, but it's just not retained in my head. So anyway, now
the world
you're,
changed. That's the thing. Like, I think our generation had to learn really fast because we came out of uni, and we were of that generation where you kind of didn't think about the possibility of getting made redundant or having to wait around for jobs and stuff. Like, we were really lucky. I think we were the last of that generation to be able to just, oh, I'll go to uni because I can't think of what else to do, and then come out the other end and just like, I fancy that job, and sort of get that job. Um, and then I think the generation just like younger than us have had a lot more struggles with
oh, for sure.
and I do think that we've had to suddenly, part way through our careers, go, oh, that's not working anymore. We've got to do something else. But I think for the better, because there's no
Yeah.
way out and to do. There's no way I could have done what I'm doing now, cut straight out of uni.
Yeah.
I think it's learning how to
Yes, because
run a
you went straight into journalism to begin with. Is that right?
journalism. Yes, it was
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, it was journalism.
yeah, I wrote stuff. It turned up on the internet. Luckily, it's not very findable now. So
And then I remember meeting you when you were, we met up and you had been, given this opportunity that you were like, do I walk away from, like you're saying, the kind of system and structure that, that's all I've sort of known and been surrounded by, to take a chance on this, I think it was a publishing opportunity. And then basically it was going to lead to you becoming a full-time artist.
oh yes, yeah. So that was when I was signing up to a big company called Washington Green, which is I didn't stay with them for very long, but essentially they had seen my work I built a website for my dad because my dad's an artist, and I built it in my spare time, and I put a little secret page on his website which was my artwork, which at that time was lots of chickens and random things like still life, like, cakes and things like that. And can't remember what else I was doing. It wasn't cats though. And I kept saying to my dad, have you seen the website that I built for you? And like not really getting much of a response. And I just think he hadn't noticed, either he hadn't looked at the website or he just hadn't noticed the page that I had put my stuff on. And then, yeah, I think an art publisher saw it. This is a long story short, but they saw my artwork. I was called to go for a meeting and they said, hey, can you paint cats? And I was like, no.
Oh, wow, is that how that came about? And now you're famous for your cats.
Yeah, it happened very quickly, very suddenly. I had no money. I had no proper paints. I had big brushes that kind of looked like this, that were like, which are actually my brushes now because they're really great for painting cat fur because they're all bristly and make good fur techniques. But, like they were DIY brushes. And I worked on my kitchen table I was living in Leigh-on-Sea in Essex then. And yeah, I remember someone from Washington Green saying, oh, we'd like to visit your studio. And I was like, oh, I've got a kitchen table. You can't visit. Nowadays, I have so much more confidence. I'm just like, you just come see what there is. I don't care if it's messy. It's my life. Judge me all you want. But back then, I just thought, I don't know. I felt like I was faking it a lot. And I had a really fluffy cat, a really fluffy ragdoll cat with like big staring eyes, and so he was my muse. And I think there's always a good way of working is to just set yourself the shortest deadline possible and just see what happens. And so I did have a really short deadline. I just said, yeah, I can paint cats, sure. And they said, oh, they have to be on, I think, like really massive boards, like 70 by 70 centimeters, which was great. I mean, I just got my big DIY brushes and was like, oh, let's see what happens. And I did 3 paintings that I was really pleased with. And then the company Washington Green said, yeah, we'll take them. I was like, oh God, how many more have you got? I'm like, none more.
Wow.
But you know what, like over time, it was quite restrictive working for them. And, they were really asking a lot from me, from other artists as well, to just produce a hell of a lot of work. And they weren't happy with us having like our own social media profiles then. And I think they wanted to control a lot. And I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't understand the contracts, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I didn't stay with them for long. But and what on the positive side, what it did give me was this platform where I could actually leave my part-time job, which at that point I had got a part-time job as a PA, and I could leave that and focus on doing painting for a living. And I didn't realise how long the cats would last, to be honest. I just, yeah, I don't know. The thing is that they have, I think they are a part of me, and they will never go away. And they've been my crutch in a lot of ways. Well, like they cheer me up, and I know that they bring joy to others, and I think that's it's hard. I think when you do create something, you have to have a lot of confidence to actually say, yeah, I made this thing, and the world, I'm ready for the world to see it. And I think I have often been quite self-deprecating in the past, and just been like, oh, we just paint cats, you know, and put myself down quite a bit. But I think I look back on the huge body of work, which is making cats now, like hundreds and hundreds of images, and I do think, you know, I'm happy to think of them cheering up people's like lives, you know, if they're looking at
Yeah.
pictures.
And you don't just paint cats, you paint characters that kind of happen to be cats. Like you're right, they are joyous and they make you smile. And I mean, obviously, I've seen on your Instagram you're not taking commissions right now, but you have in the past been doing a lot of. You recently shared a piece that you made for somebody of their adopted cat, and you make portraits for people's existing cats, and sometimes when they're no longer with us. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of them are for people who've lost their animals, and obviously when people lose an animal, obviously it is a genuine bereavement, but often I get the impression that it's like the death of the animal is like a death of part of the household. It's something that represents the family, and it represents like a family loss, often the end of an era. Like, you know, that animal was there when, you know, when people have gone through divorces and chemotherapy and bereavements of family members and kids, and, you know, all kinds of huge life upheavals. And when that animal companion, that I was watching the Grace and Perry art club programs over lockdown. They're really good. And he made a comment about cats being a symbol of homeliness. And I think it's true. So if you have a cat and they die, then you do feel like, you know, and it's not just cats, it's like any animal companion.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, suddenly your home feels very strange, that routine and that yeah, I mean they're personalities, aren't they? They're characters who are part of the family, they're members of the family.
yeah.
So yeah, it's terrific that you offer that service. And for those of you, I'm sure there's a lot of people who do know your work, but for those of you, would you mind just is there something, I spy something there in the background? Do you mind sharing just another view of your work?
Yeah, I was trying to position my iPad so I can do painting and people can see me painting. That's,
gorgeous.
A random cat, and I have been painting. I think I've painted a parrot recently. That's on my Instagram.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. And so you're essentially self-taught. I know your dad's an artist, so you grew up around it, but you are essentially self-taught. Is that right?
Yeah, I gave up on art A level because I didn't like the pressures. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my iPad because it needs charging.
No problem.
Yeah, I remember giving up on art A level, and everyone was like, "What? Why are you doing it? You could be doing art." But I had no interest in just being compared to my dad at that time.
Yeah.
I really liked doing art that was was just quite cheerful, and I do think it's been self-therapy for me. And as I think art should be. I don't think you should be doing art just to please other people. If it doesn't please you, then I think you can tell. I think you can tell when art is really insincere, when someone's just really earnest about it and trying to just, you know, if they're doing something like that is just pretty. It's okay to do art for art's sake, but I think like there's art art with no feeling. I feel like you can tell, and
Hmm.
I think that's why I try to just at least get humour or something really warm in my pictures across, because I'm not. I know a lot of people use art to portray really like important, deep, feelings, very serious feelings, like feelings of anger and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that might not, there won't be a time in my life when maybe I feel the urge to do that, but I think ever since I was a kid, ever since I was doing like cartoons of Bible stories in my RE exercise books, I think I've used it to try and make people laugh, to make people like a connection with other people without necessarily using language, because I was quite shy and quiet. I don't know how much you remember of me being like that, but
Well, it's weird because we were friends, so I wouldn't have sort of
you were,
noticed that, because you weren't shy and quiet with me, and vice versa. So I wouldn't have had an outside vision of.
you wouldn't have, you wouldn't have known. But I think like I would never have put myself forward to do any kind of public speaking, I don't think, or I might have done to challenge myself, because I was that kind of kid, Well, it's important to do these things. Yeah, stuff out of the zone. And then I went and learned languages for a degree, so and dreaded every single oral exam because it was like putting on a performance. And so yeah, I quite like that I can create something that doesn't have to rely on me being there, I guess, me showing,
Yeah,
having to talk. So yeah.
yeah. It's your way of communicating what you want to the world and sharing something without, yeah, as you say, being in the spotlight directly.
Yeah, I realise
Yeah.
the irony of doing a live video of what I'm saying.
No, I'm so delighted that you are doing this. So thank you so much. And I've noticed also on your Instagram that you have started doing, like, or maybe you've always done it, but now you're sharing it, like a daily doodle to sort of keep that sense of play up.
Yeah, well, I've only just figured out stories. For a long time, I was like, "What are stories for?" I don't understand. And it's just social media. Like, I love social media for all its connections that it makes, but sometimes it's like work. Like, do I have to post? Do I have to work out what stories are? Do I have to work out hashtags? And then obviously I get the reward when people start connecting and saying things, and but yeah, I figured out stories. And what I do now is, because Jake gets up really early to do his podcasts in the morning, so he gets up, starts work at
And we
6:30.
should just say, for those who've joined a bit later, that's your partner. That's not your child who's we can hear in the background, just in case people are like,
we
what?
set we set our child to work at 6:30 in the morning. He has to earn his way through lockdown. Yeah, no, Spike is our child. So I get up really early in the morning and I just do free doodling, and it's got nothing to do with painting, because I recognize in myself that I find it really hard to step out of my comfort zone when it comes to painting. And so I always end up going back to cats, and I guess that is because they are my comfort zone. They make me happy.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to challenge yourself when you're creative, and it's 10 years this year since I signed that contract with Washington Green. So this is the 10th year of cats. It's a whole decade of somehow scraping a living through painting cats. And I think I have come to a time in my life where I'm like, I want to be able to push myself. I don't want to just be the cats might evolve into something else, but if you're creative, you don't want to stay still, and I don't want to just to please other people. And also, because the copyright infringement problems that I've had have meant that I have quite a weird relationship with some of my old images that have been stolen over and over for use on products. So if anyone...
So just to give that context, if you follow Kim, you're aware that, literally a lot of her artwork has been stolen and reproduced on cheap products and sold via Alibaba and eBay and all sorts of mass-produced, websites that connect with mass production. And I remember you describing it being a bit like whack-a-mole, like it has felt at times
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it's there have been several points in the last few years when I've just wanted to give up and not paint again. And I know that sounds really melodramatic, but it is so hard to carry on when you see your work, especially a lot of those images, the ones that have been reproduced over and over again. A lot of them were painted around a time in my life when I really needed money. When I was about to give birth, when I was living in a bedroom in my in-laws' flat, and like not just sleeping there but also painting there. Like it was a scary time, and some of those images are quite personal, and I see them. And actually, some of those images, the originals, I never put out for sale or anything. I've still got them in my home, but they are all over the internet. They're all over Amazon, eBay, and advertised on Facebook and whatever. Like as products, they're anything. There are lots of embroidery kits, painting kits, mobile phone covers. I've seen car seat covers, shoes, like you name it. There are people making a hell of a lot of money out of paintings that I did during quite a difficult time in my life, and I haven't earned a penny from them, and it sucks. And the thing is, I've learned a lot about copyright infringement. I've learned and how the law is changing. The law is trying to catch up with the digital world, and it's not just me who's being screwed over. I mean, essentially, if you search for cat embroidery kit on the internet, you will see one of my images illegally on a product. I will say now that from what I've heard, those products are actually really poor quality anyway. And, and some of them, one of them actually recently during lockdown was a complete scam. So people, I mean, I'd say hundreds of people, I've been contacted by loads of people who said they placed an order by a company that's based in China. Although I don't think they knew it when they placed their orders. This company was heavily advertising on Facebook, and one of my images, I think it was a paint by numbers kit, and this was in April, and then people still haven't received anything. No one has received anything. It's clearly a massive scam, and it hurts so much to know that. Okay, it's one thing to steal my images, but then to defraud people, to take their money, it's just, it makes, it does make me sick. So I'm working with a really awesome team of legal experts, and I hope that one day I will be able to help other artists, and you never know, like help lobby for change and legislation. It's like Amazon, for example, doesn't take enough responsibility for copyright on its website. And I think a lot of it is because it's sort of like, oh, we're a retail platform, we're not actually the retailer ourselves, and blah, blah, blah. So they're just like, we'll just wash our hands of that and walk away. But that's based on legislation that was made before the age of like the internet and internet shopping. And it's laws do need to change, and artists need to know their rights. And the commercial art world is weird because artists aren't traditionally represented by agents. Like, so obviously in the acting world, over world, you guys have agents, right? And artists just don't, like, unless you're like a super high profile artist, you have PR for you and stuff. But everyday commercial artists, like, we're generally quite introverted, quite sensitive individuals, and often quite vulnerable. I know a lot of artists who have been really screwed over by licensing organisations, really, who haven't been given artists fair contracts, who are kind of relying on artists not really knowing their rights at all. So yeah, it is something I'm really passionate about. I would say at the moment, like, if anyone does have queries about it, if they're in the UK, you can contact the Design and Copyright Society for just general information. They have lots of information on their website. There is lots of information everywhere. In America, you can register your artworks with the US, I think, Copyright Office or something, and it costs, I think it's about something like $55 a go. So for someone like me, that would be hugely expensive, but I'm sort of doing it via my legal people and trying to do it that way. It is hard, and the companies who are, you know, companies like Amazon, Alibaba, Wish, oh my gosh, Wish has loads. They don't make reporting copyright infringements easy either. And, you know, they'll say on their website, we take it very seriously, but my argument is, no, I don't think you do, because if you did, then my work wouldn't keep popping up here. I would
in the forms,
unpaid time reporting these things, and then people wonder why I'm not taking commissions. It's like, you know what, I am emotionally spent. I just need, you know, I have no money, and it's not like I have no money, but it's, you know, a lot of this stuff is unpaid work. So yeah, like I say, I have got legal support. My agents are, so I have agents now, brilliant people, and they are so supportive of them, and things are getting much better. But you know, like I say, 10 years down the line, working really hard. So Spike has just turned 7. So I think that I was doing a lot of those images just before and around the time that I was pregnant with him. So that's like 8 years. So out of the 10 years, 8 years of those have been spent dealing with copyright infringements, and it's got worse in the last few years. So I am tired.
Yeah.
Sounds really negative, but I do want people to know the truth. Like, I love what
No, I think it's important messaging. I mean, that if you come across something that is a product derived from a piece of artwork, then please go and do your research, do your due diligence, check who the artist is, and check with them, is this a legitimate product? Will you be benefiting from this? And if not, then please don't buy it.
Yeah, if you
and flag it up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it goes for anything, doesn't it? Like, if you're buying clothes or food, like, do you know where it came from? Like, there is a bigger ethical question here about the internet, where people see something advertised at them and they are so quick to part with their money, and they don't know who they're giving that money to. People don't check, and you need to. If you see something that's got a design on it and the designer's name isn't, it's not acknowledged on the product, then question why. Why is it not? Why is the artist not credited? And you know, where could this product possibly have come from? And I'm sorry, but China is not taking the copyright infringement issue seriously. It is really hard to tackle copyright infringement in China. Like the biggest companies in the world have tried to take on quite high profile copyright infringement cases in China and struggled. Like, how is someone like me, how can I do it? It's impossible. So yeah, I think consumers, there needs to be a bigger consumer awareness of all of this. And
of course, it is easy for anyone, like, you know, thinking, well, how do I find out who the artist is, whatever. Actually, you can just, if you save the image and drop it into Google image search, you generally will be able to find out what the source is, or, you know, from the amount of images available, you'll be able to work out, well, who's the artist. And I can see Andy here is in here, and I've seen a few comments saying that he's had similar experiences. And fully there's a question here from so
is the copyright infringement issue, is it down to Amazon, or is it so Amazon will say it's the retailer's fault? so the person who's listed, the company who's listed it on Amazon. And that's where I think that the law needs to change, where Amazon does take more responsibility, because Amazon makes it far too easy for products to be relisted and for these criminals to just pop back on, even under a different name, and just start selling. So even if they get banned, I can't remember how many strikes they get. It's, you know, you get a certain number of strikes against your seller's name, and then Amazon kick you off. Well, but we know from the products that keep being listed that they must be the same people who are just going back on under a different guise and carrying on listing the stuff. So Amazon, no, I don't think Amazon are taking the issue seriously enough. I mean, the same, it's not just Amazon, the same goes for eBay and Wish and
but these companies, they have the resources to have a dedicated department that checks the origin and checks the legality. So it's much harder to, I mean, yes, consumers, you know, our vote is our money, and that's, you know, a very powerful thing to do. But yes, ultimately, those size companies have the resources to do this.
Yeah.
And
I think Jeff Bezos himself could put his hand in his pocket and do something with that.
Yeah, I think he could definitely.
But
he could definitely stretch to it.
He could also pay a few more taxes. Well, that's another issue, isn't it? It's not the most ethical of companies. We all know that, and yet it's just stupid. And you know, and actually, yeah, it's a problem with Facebook as well, because Facebook allows.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds very, very similar to a lot of the conversations I've been listening to about, you know, and I think we're all aware of Facebook's sort of role of responsibility for sharing content that is factually inaccurate, that is inciting violence, that is fostering division, discrimination, racism, and they're all, you know, and similarly, they're sort of putting their hands up and saying, well, you know, we're just the platform.
Exactly. So it's exactly the same. We're not an editorial publication. I mean, what is Facebook but an advertising platform? That's what it is. It's just one big rolling advert for people and information gathering. I mean, I use Facebook, of course, but like Amazon is just a website. Airbnb is just a website. They don't actually take responsibility for the content, and yeah, the changes do need to be made. It's hard.
So what is that? How does that come about? Is that lobbying MPs? Is that what is that to build pressure to ensure that legislation gets at least debated?
Yeah, it is exactly that. And I think give it time with my stuff. I mean, so there isn't a huge amount happening or has happened in the commercial art world in terms of combating copyright infringement. I think so. Photography world, there have been some big cases where copyright infringements have been tackled, but for the commercial art world, it's like all these artists are like, you know, people like me working from home. It's like, my precious artwork has been stolen, and I don't know what to do with it. People feel quite helpless, and I think what needs to happen is for more artists to come together and like talk about what we really think needs to change. I think with what I'm doing with my artworks in terms of tackling copyright infringements, in time, I hope that from what I'm going to be learning over, it's going to be a few years, because legal things never get hurried through.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping, my goal is that I will be able to help other artists and to help, hopefully change laws and make a difference. And if it's not just for me, but like we could use my experiences as an example, because laws don't change without cases being made, and yeah, examples that you can point to.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yes,
So,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, so it's all a work in process, but generally I think I I'm just trying to, on a personal level, just trying to earn a living and stay sane, because it's, it's hard. I've got a kid at home,
Yeah.
trying to,
Yeah.
trying to do a lot, and so I've got legal support, which is always they're beavering away in the background, doing lots on my behalf, which is really fantastic, and yeah, hopefully something will come of this. But I don't really know, in the craft world and world that you inhabit, how much copyright infringement goes on. I know of some illustrators who've had like their images copied and put on
Yeah, I
things.
think it happens in all the creative industries to a point. I'm aware, I guess, more consciously of knitwear designers who their designs have been ripped off and suddenly appear in, big retailers like Marks and Spencer's and so on. So yeah, it's yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you don't want to think that there's conscious thought behind it, but there is obviously a likelihood. I do know as well it happens a lot with print designers. Um, yeah, but also it happens I'm aware of, like, from other makers. There are people who are, I see in a community I'm in, I see a lot of cases of people who have sort of fans of their work who end up maybe messaging them a lot to find out how do you make it and what's your process, and start setting up their own thing. So I don't know, for me it kind of boggles the mind that on that level, what is the joy that you get out of copying? Obviously be inspired by something, but direct copies and reproductions, what possible joy is that for you? And that's the
Yeah,
whole point of a creative pursuit. I mean, obviously, like you say, you deserve to be paid, you deserve to be recompensed and for your work, absolutely, but it comes from a place of expression and creativity.
yeah, like every piece of work that you create is some kind of chink of your soul has gone into that. And when you see somebody else just brazenly ripping it off, it's like, wow, how do you sleep at night? How are you that person that just takes from other people's hard work? And you have to just tell yourself, do you know what, I'm the one with the ideas. I'm like, there are a lot of people copying my work. There are some people trying to copy and sell their stuff, sell cats that kind of look similar to mine, but I'm like, it doesn't look like mine really. It looks like
Yeah.
I'm the only person that can do it. It's like your handwriting. Like, no one else can actually copy your handwriting. And
Yeah.
if you're really great at like doing knitwear designs or something, well, then you're the only person that's coming up with those great designs. It's your thing and not anyone else's. And you have to just
Yeah.
tell
I
yourself.
think for me, what I find that sort of chimes so badly with me, I completely agree with you. Like, how can you go to bed at night knowing that you are just copying someone's work? But for me, I guess as a maker, like, it's not just what goes into the finished piece, it's that huge months, sometimes years of development, of all the experimentation, of all the sampling, of all the hopes that you're like, I hope this is the one, and then you finish it and you're like, no, it still needs more changes, needs tweaks, needs, doesn't
Yeah.
work in this way or that way. And it's that process that you're that you're just completely discounting, that
It's
because
like,
it's pretty torturous to have an idea and then bring it into the world. Sometimes that can be a really long long process.
yes, definitely. And like, that's like you say, it's years, often a lifetime of your ideas that all compound, that come together in a moment to create that artwork. And not just that, but it's the muscle memory from your hands, that the neural pathways in your mind that go together in that moment of creating something. So yes, I can paint a cat image quite quickly, and it's definitely in my own style. Somebody else could try and copy my style, but it will be very conscious and deliberate, and it will not look like mine in the end. And I just look at these people and be like, do your own thing, not just,
which would be beautiful.
yeah, you never know, just have a go and do something. Like, just free yourself, stop being so close-minded that you can't see within yourself that you might have something special to offer the world. And,
Yeah,
you know,
no, absolutely. That's a very positive way of looking at it, for sure.
yeah.
So how have you managed to be productive during the recent sort of lockdown, like with Spike at home, and how was that what I call the juggle struggle?
I haven't really. So the first 6 weeks, Jake was doing a project for BBC Radio 4, and it took up like 6 days of the week. So, sorry, I've seen. Hello,
Yeah, this is
Jake.
Joe. Yeah.
Hey, it's really nice seeing people. Yeah, no, I didn't cope, and I mean, I coped, but I did. I think I was more concerned about Spike and how he was he all right, really, and I just did what I could. I kind of split the morning. I do sort of stuff with him in the morning, so we'd get up in the morning, and we would do Joe Wicks, the Joe Wicks workouts. We did Joe Wicks every single day,
except my birthday.
yeah, but which was this Monday. But for the 5 days a week that Joe Wicks was on, we were there every day doing bloody burpees and 9 a.m. going, what is this life? Anyway, yeah, we got through it. And then we'd do some activities together, and to be honest, just in the afternoons it would be like, okay, you need your own time now, and you can have video games, and like you can put on headsets and talk to his friends, and they can play Minecraft together and stuff. So that's the only way to do it. And I decided to stop. Well, I mean, I couldn't go to the post office anymore, and I live in a town with the highest R rate in the south of England.
Ah.
And I am not surprised, because, you know, we've been around in town, and it's like, you wouldn't know there's a lockdown, not by the crowds of people that are about.
Right, okay.
And it's not just that, there are issues of poverty in this town. Like, this is such a weird town, so obviously, you know, but I live in Bedford, where there are like beautiful, huge Victorian mansions and public schools at one end of the town, private schools at one end of the town, and then at the other end of the town, there's an area that is one of the most deprived in the country. It's like in the top 3 most deprived areas in the whole of the UK is in Bedford, and there are people living in, you know, HMOs, so houses of multiple occupancy, and there's problems with like sex trafficking, and there's drugs problems. Like these are people for whom COVID-19 was not the highest priority, you know, and there are going on with these people, and this is like one of those weird towns where you see such a social divide, and yeah, it's pretty depressing. So yeah, back to us in lockdown. We got through it. I didn't go to the post office, that's what I was saying, because I don't even know if the post office was running properly, but like I couldn't do it because I couldn't take Spike with me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stand in a queue that was going down the street, and then really for a poster that costs £10, if I'm posting that, like am I really earning any money out of that? And then postal prices to the US are, so I started to do stuff via courier service, which is fine, but it's a lot more expensive to the US, so I stopped selling regular things to the US, and yeah, like the copyright situation has continued in lockdown.
Yeah.
got worse. So I've spent a lot of any work time, talking to my agents and about all of that. So I think I've tried to, like, on a personal level, just cope with doing yoga, a lot of yoga.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the last few weeks I found stressful, but I think the news was really stressful. Like,
Yes, it has been. Yeah, it's been.
Like, what is the world out there? So I'm just doing these are funny little these ornaments I usually make just before Christmas, but I thought while I was talking to you, they'd be quite easy enough things for me to do. I don't think I've got a finished one near me. Anyway, I sell them around Christmas time, but I thought I'd do some now. I've
just realised we've got less than 15 minutes until Instagram cuts us. So I do want to make sure that people know that what's the best way to find your work? Is it can they go to your Instagram? Is your website on your Instagram profile? Or is it best just to go kimhaskinsart.com?
Yeah, well done. Yeah, kimhaskinsart.com, or just Instagram and Facebook are both Kim Haskins Art, so it's fairly straightforward, really.
And do you accept DMs? I assume you're a very busy person, but if people were to DM you,
I do, and I'm rubbish at it.
So don't take it personally if you message Kim and it takes a little while to come back to you.
Yeah, I am. It's not deliberate, but like I could. It's so hard because like some days I'll open up my inbox or I'll look at my. It makes me sound like I'm really popular or something. It's like I look at it and I go, I don't know how to deal with it. Like there are so many, and a lot of them are people asking, can they use my image on a T-shirt type of thing, and it's like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure you mean well, but no. Yeah. I do get back to people eventually, but sometimes people end up going, I emailed you 3 weeks ago, and it's like, oh, I'm really sorry.
Well, that's good. Then people know not to take it personally. It's just you're a busy lady and you have a busy inbox. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. So just just so that we've covered like revisiting some of 2016, because I've got the link to the interview in my bio if anyone wants to read it. But what do you think, what's inspiring you these days? What are you inspired by? I'm wondering whether it's the same thing from 2016.
What did I say then?
You said you were inspired by your partner, Jake, who we should say is Jake Yap, because we've mentioned Jake, but Jake Yap, the very talented, funny comedian. So you said you were inspired by Jake and Spike.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's still true. I'm inspired by a lot of the people who get in touch with me and who are genuinely some of the nicest humans in the world. Honestly, I really mean that. Like, the loveliest people, and there's so many people who are like have amazing lives, who do amazing jobs, and who are just the nicest people with big hearts. And honestly, I do a lot of my art for them, just thinking, there's people who do animal rescues, there are doctors, nurses, carers, and I think, like, if you like my pictures, then I want to keep making them, because if they make you happy, then that's what makes me happy. Like, I don't do it, I do it for me, because it's like my therapy time, and I do it for anyone who likes them, and I don't care really. I think I think the world has changed a lot since 2016. But so I think I'm trying to constantly be aware of what's going on and keeping an open mind and learning from others.
Yeah, so that kind of leads to like the other question, which was what are you curious about? In 2016 you mentioned Japan, and you talked a lot about Japan and that as a cultural place and history. But yeah, what would you say you're curious about these days?
it's not that I'm not interested in Japan now. It's just I think
Time's over.
it's like climate awareness really affected me in the last couple of years, and I'm like, I'm just not going to do flying unless it's absolutely necessary now. If that means missing out on a trip to Japan, then so be it. Like I don't want that on my conscience. And anyway, now at the moment, anyways, it doesn't matter. I think in terms of, I think I've learned a lot about other artists since then. So I look towards a lot of abstract artists, and I feel like the abstract expressionists of I think the American ones, like Helen Frankenthaler, who painted on huge canvases, and I'm sorry, but they pee all over the male abstract expressionists. Like the fact that they used space, like physical space, being like, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm here, and they're beautiful. And I've been learning a lot about them, and I've been following hashtags on social media recently for like black abstract artists or black women artists. And of course, in an ideal world, like I shouldn't have to be searching for that based on the colour of their skin, but we know there's a whole social historical context around the reason why I'm searching for black. And it's been great because I have now come across so many other amazing artists, and that's just through Instagram, which I don't even think I was really using in 2016 as well. So yeah, thank you, Instagram.
It's crazy, isn't it? I've been doing a similar thing after the Amplify Melanated Voices experience, and it's crazy to realize how little was served to you, how kind of essentially white your algorithm was, even though there's a type of art. I really respond to collage art, for example, and I follow a lot of collage artists, and yet there are tons of black collage artists that they've never come up in my discovery, and I have to search black artists in order to see them.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's very inspiring. Like I get sad when I find like a black woman artist who's died a long time ago, and I'm like, oh, your stuff is really great, and you never like had the platform. And you know, I mean, it goes for women of all colours as well, but yeah, specifically obviously black women artists. Just having that recognition posthumously.
So you're enjoying the experience, the sort of awakening and experience of discovering.
I'm hugely enjoying, there has been a lot of anger and distress, and I've been infuriated at some of the bigoted things that people I know have posted on social media recently. I am horrified, and horrified at my own ignorance prior to that of so many issues, and I know it's a big learning, but so a lot of it has been hugely upsetting, but focusing on the positive, like I've discovered loads of artists who are expressing themselves, expressing pain or joy or whatever from their own perspectives, from a perspective that isn't actually given much voice in the world, especially in Western media, and it's been great. Like there is something like pleasingly autonomous, I think, about Instagram and social media, where I know the algorithms kind of adapt to, but if you change what you search for or what you follow, you can shape a new world for yourself. And thank you to those artists who are thinking they want to post their image of an piece of art that they've created, and if they put the hashtag black woman artist on it, then people like me who are searching for that sound will find it, and then frankly it could become as relevant or irrelevant as you like, whether they are black or female. But you like their art, you've discovered it, and you just made that connection with another human, and getting more people's voices and creations more widely shared and on an equal platform. I think I think I hadn't consciously thought about that until this very moment. So
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I think all visual creativity, it's there to be seen, isn't it? And if you're, for one reason or another, there's a huge section of the world who aren't being accessed, that aren't getting access to see it.
yeah,
But yeah, you're right. I think one of the very positive things that came out of the last few weeks is the kind of, not to, use a overused word, but the awakening.
yeah,
For us to realize no one's gonna, if you're white, no one's gonna serve this to you, because they're gonna keep, serving you the white world, and you're gonna have to put some effort in
yeah,
to see the world that you want to see.
yeah, yeah. And you don't know what that world is until you see it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go, I'm ready to have all my expectations challenged. I'm ready to be presented with a new world. I know I am feeling inspired. I'm feeling inspired by people who are feeling a lot of pain, who are speaking out, who are using creativity to express themselves.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I'm going to have to wrap this up rather than Instagram cut us off. But this has been amazing. Thank you so much. I thoroughly appreciate your time.
It's nearly there, but
Painted live.
Yeah.
So I'll save this to IGTV, and of course tag you in it. And I hope that anyone watching, goes to check out Kim's profile, and don't send her a DM and expect a response straight away. And yeah, thank you so much, Kim. This has been awesome. And the link to Kim's original interview will stay in the profile until next week, when I'll be doing another curious interview.
Oh, I'm not sure how curious I was. Maybe I
You were
wasn't
very curious. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you so much, and thank you to Spike for entertaining himself in the background.
Thank you, Minecraft.
Have a lovely rest of your day.
But you too. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.